Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. NBA Tuesday, I think we got 9 games on the board, so it should be a nice slate here. As far as Monday night, I had a good one. Wizards actually ruined what would have been a great one. Got the Bucks -4. Bucks and Wizards were my two biggest bets, so we got the Bucks. Wizards were in that game. They were winning for a lot of it. They scored, I think they were held to 12 points in the fourth quarter or something crazy to miss the cover. So lost Wizards, but got Bulls and Lakers late. So great Monday night. Started the week off right. Think that makes 9 or 10 winning days in a row or something crazy. It's been a good stretch. It's been a good stretch for sure. Hopefully that keeps rolling. So yeah, 9 games on a Tuesday night. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Orlando on the road in Charlotte. Hornets are catching 8.5 points at home. Total sitting at 209. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 9-point Magic win. Final score 112-103 Orlando. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Orlando. Markelle Fultz is on the injury report. He's listed as questionable, so we'll have to wait and see with him. Everyone else should be good to go for the Magic. On the Charlotte side, LaMelo Ball still out. Mark Williams is still out. Cody Martin has been ruled out for this game. Seth Curry has been ruled out for this game. Nick Richards is questionable as well, and he's the backup to Mark Williams. So if he doesn't play, Charlotte could be missing both of their fives. So Hornets definitely dealing with some situations right now. Betting trends on the Magic side. Orlando's 12-4 against the number in their last 16 overall, but most of that it's been at home. They're just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 on the road. 5-2 against the spread as road favorites this year. On the Charlotte side, some nice looking trends here. 9-4 against the spread in their last 13 overall. 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup has tilted towards the Magic. Orlando 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 matchups against the Hornets. 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Charlotte. Trends for the total all pointing to unders here. So Orlando's been trending towards unders. 0-5 to the under in the last 5. 5-8 to the under in their last 13 on the road. Charlotte also heavily pointing towards an under here. 1-8 to the under in their last 9, 0-3 to the under in their last 3 at home. And in this particular head-to-head matchup, 1-5 to the under in their last 6 meetings between these two. 0-3 to the under in their last 3 meetings between these two in Charlotte. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with Orlando's offense. Definitely a nice edge for the Magic here in offensive rebounding rate, and you can see in the last 10 games, 5th to 21st. Turnover rate, though, goes to Charlotte. So all the extra possessions that Orlando would gain from offensive rebounders, they'll give right back in the form of turnovers. Magic are actually dead last, 30th in turnover rate in the last 10 games. And this is something that Orlando struggled with this year. On the season, they're just 8-11 against the number against top 10 defenses in forced turnover rate. Now, Charlotte, we just said, is 11th, not top 10, but it shows how much of a problem protecting the basketball has been for the Magic. But we also got to look at free throw rate here. As we know, getting to the foul line has been a huge part of Orlando's offense all season. Look at Charlotte's defense in the last 10 games. 3rd in defensive free throw rate. So those opportunities may not be there for the Magic in this one. That being said, that hasn't really deterred them in the past. On the season, the Magic are 16-6 against the spread against top 10 defenses in free throw rate. So that hasn't really been a problem. The turnovers, that's what's been a problem for the Magic. And the icing on the cake in this matchup for Orlando's offense comes at the basket. As we know, Orlando lives at the rim. In the last 10 games, they're 1st in shot frequency at the basket. That's been by far the weakest part of Charlotte's defense. They've actually got great defensive numbers against jump shooters, but at the rim in the last 10 games, just 20th in frequency, 22nd in efficiency. On the other side of the court, we got Charlotte's offense, and 4 factors here. Edge definitely goes to the Magic. You can see rebounding 4th to 29th. Turnovers 12th to 24th. So all those turnover problems I was just talking about, Orlando trying to protect the ball, they might rip a bunch of turnovers themselves on the other side. Here's the kicker, though, in this game, because I think this is a very favorable matchup for Orlando. Problem is, when you look at the Magic home away splits, EFG 15th at home, 20th on the road. Defensive EFG 8th at home, 18th on the road. Rebound rate 2nd at home, 13th on the road. So this Orlando team has played significantly worse on the road. And even though I really like this matchup for the Magic, I can't lay 8.5 points on the road with a team that plays significantly worse on the road. That's a big number. So I'll say Orlando or pass, but this is probably just a pass for me. Next game, Boston on the road in Cleveland here. Cavs catching 6.5 points at home, total sitting at 219. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 6-point Boston win. Final score 115-109 Celtics. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Boston. A couple key names on here. Jaylen Brown listed as questionable. Kristaps Porzingis also listed as questionable. So a couple names to keep an eye on for the Celtics. But then you flip it over to the Cleveland side, and they've also got a situation here. Donovan Mitchell ruled out for this game. Max Strus ruled out for this game. Karis LeVert is listed as questionable. And Isaac Okoro also listed as questionable. So Cavs missing basically every single wing on their active roster with the exception of Dean Wade. Before I get into this one, I want to mention the spot for both teams. The Celtics have Denver on deck, so a huge game for the Celtics on deck. Cleveland's on the first leg of a back-to-back, and they have the Hawks on deck, which is a big game as far as playoff seeding. Not that this game isn't huge, Cavs Celtics, and honestly, I don't even know if that affects the handicap, but I just wanted to mention that because this is an interesting spot for both these teams. Betting trends on the Celtics side look great. Boston 6-0-1 against the number in their last 7 overall. The Celtics have been covering. They're on a rampage right now. 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. On the Cleveland side, it's basically the exact opposite. Just 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 overall. 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 at home. 2-4 against the spread as home dogs this year. This particular head-to-head matchup is definitely tilted towards Cleveland. Boston just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 matchups against the Cavs. 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 trips to Cleveland. Trends for the total, Celtics 7-14 to the under in their last 21. 3-6 to the under in their last 9 on the road. On the Cleveland side, 4-8 to the under in their last 12. 5-2 to the over in their last 7 at home, though. And this particular head-to-head matchup has been all overs. 5-1 to the over in the last 6 meetings between these two. 6-3 to the over in their last 9 meetings in Cleveland. Now, before I get into this one, I want to pull up the strength of schedule numbers for these two teams. On the last 5 games, the Celtics are first in overall net efficiency, plus 26.2. Meaning they're averaging 26.2 more points than their opponents per every 100 possessions. During that span, they're also 7th in strength of schedule. So the Celtics are beating the hell out of good teams. Meanwhile, the Cavs, they're 11th in overall net efficiency in the last 5 games, but their strength of schedule is 29th. So Boston's putting up way better numbers against a way stronger schedule. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with the Celtics offense. You can see the 4 factors. A lot of these numbers are pretty close here. Celtics have the huge edge in turnovers, though. Cleveland's defense in the last 10 games, dead last in forced turnover rate. So and Boston's been good about protecting the basketball. So overall, these numbers got to give the edge to Boston. One thing I will say for Cleveland defensively, though, this Celtics team likes to get out in transition and run the fast break. On the season, they're 8th in frequency, 7th in efficiency. I don't know if that'll be here on the road in Cleveland. Cavs have been good against the fast break all season. Now, shot zones for the Celtics offense. Normally, we can just pretty much isolate things to the 3-point shooting, but in the last 5 games, the Celtics have been taking a lot of shots at the basket. You can see in the last 5 games, the Celtics are 9th in shot frequency at the rim. In the last 10 games, they're 17th. On the full season, they're 25th. So recently, the Celtics have been incorporating more of an interior attack into their offense. Now, normally, I'd say that's a bad thing on the road in Cleveland. The Cavs have had one of the best interior defenses in the NBA this season, but in the last 5 games, against a weak schedule, Cleveland's just 22nd in defensive efficiency at the basket. So I really don't know what to think about this Cleveland defense right now. Now, they do have good numbers against the above the break 3, and that's going to come in handy against Boston. In the last 5 games, they're 8th in frequency, 11th in efficiency against the above the break 3. But during that span, the Knicks, the Pistons, the Bulls, look, I'll give them the Mavs. The Mavs can definitely shoot, but the Knicks, the Pistons, the Bulls, and the Wizards in 4 of their last 5 games. So I don't know if I'm going to throw the Cavs a parade for having good numbers against the 3 in the last 5 when they've played teams like that. The only team that could be even remotely compared to Boston's outside shooting attack is Dallas, and the Mavs shot 42% from 3 in that game in Cleveland and probably should have won if it wasn't for Max Strus' miracle shot. They covered the number. So overall, on this side of the court, I really don't care that the Celtics offense has been attacking the basket more, because I don't know if Cleveland's defense is really the same right now. They're going to have to show me. Now let's flip things over to the other side and look at the matchup for Cleveland's offense. Huge rebounding edge for the Boston defense here, 1st to 23rd. Turnover edge goes back to Cleveland, though, so that's kind of a wash. Look at the free throw rate. Cleveland, this is a team that's used to getting trips to the foul line. It's something they've been reliant on. 8th in free throw rate in the last 10. Celtics defense is 5th. And I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Celtics offense that Boston may have trouble getting the fast break going. We could say the same thing on this side of the court. On the season, Cleveland offensively in transition is 5th in efficiency. Boston's defense, 1st. When it comes to shot zones for Cleveland's offense, we pretty much are looking at the same 2 zones that we looked at for Boston, at the rim and above the break threes. And corner threes. They're 1st in corner 3 frequency. In the last 10 games, they're 6th, 10th, and 1st in frequency from those 3 zones. Unfortunately for the Cavs, the Boston Celtics have elite defensive numbers there. At the rim, 3rd and 9th. Above the break 3, 29th in frequency, but 5th in efficiency. From against the corner 3, 2nd and 1st. So I know you're getting the Cleveland Cavs at home, plus 6.5. It's tempting, but I would not take Cleveland here. I mean, I don't know if we can really even bet this game right now with all the injury question marks, but the only way I would go is Boston. They are steamrolling teams right now, so obviously I'm going to wait it out and wait for some injury updates. We'll talk about it on the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m., but it'll be Boston or pass for now. Next game. Pellies are on the road in Toronto. Raps are catching 8 points. Actually, I think it dropped to 7.5. Yeah, that must have just happened. So Raps are catching 7.5 points at home. Total sitting at 229. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point New Orleans win. Final score 115-113 Pelicans. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Pellies. Nobody on the report with the exception of Dyson Daniels. He's been out, and he's still out for this one. Everyone else should be good to go for the Pellies. On the Raptors side, Scotty Barnes is still out. He just missed last game against the Hornets. Bruce Brown is out as well. He's been ruled out. Jakob Poeltl is out as well for Toronto, so Raps definitely shorthanded in this one. Before I get into this one, I need to mention that New Orleans is coming off 3 full days rest. On the season, when the Pelicans have 2 or 3 days rest, they are 7-3 against the number, so a favorable spot for New Orleans. Betting trends on the New Orleans side, just 3-5 against the spread in their last 8, just 6-8 against the spread as road favorites this year. On the Toronto side, all negative. 0-3 against the number in their last 3, 3-8 against the spread in their last 11 at home, 5-9 against the spread as home dogs. In this particular head-to-head matchup, it definitely tilts towards New Orleans. Pellies are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 against the Raps, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 trips to Toronto. Trends for the total, all pointing towards an under here. On the Pelican side, 0-5 to the under in their last 5 overall, 1-8 to the under in their last 9 on the road. On the Toronto side, 3-7 to the under in their last 10 overall, 2-11 to the under in their last 13 at home. And in this particular matchup, 3-5 to the under in their last 8 meetings, 0-3 to the under in their last 3 meetings in Toronto. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with some recent production. In the last 5 games, the Pelicans are 8th in overall net efficiency, and they're 10th in strength of schedule. So they're putting up great numbers against a pretty strong schedule. Toronto, 18th in overall net efficiency, strength of schedule, 18th. Let's take a look at the matchup for New Orleans offense here. You can see the Pellies have a nice sizable edge here on the offensive glass. In the last 10 games, they're 12th in offensive rebounding rate. Raptors defense, 28th. That's something they struggled with, keeping opponents off the offensive glass. I think we thought those numbers would start to tilt back when Jakob Poeltl came back from injury, but they really haven't. And weirdly, this Pelicans team has been a much better rebounding team on the road. On the season, they're 3rd in total rebounding rate on the road compared to 20th at home. That being said, we also have to mention that the Raptors have been a better rebounding team at home as well. They're 12th at home, 22nd on the road. Not much to go by on this side of the court in terms of shot zones. I mean, we can point at the interior because Toronto has really struggled defensively down there. But in the last 10 games, I mean, Pellies really don't have great offensive numbers scoring on the interior. I mean, they do have the edge here, so they should be able to score down low, but not really an overwhelming mismatch. Now, when we flip it around and look at the matchup for Toronto's offense, they should also have the edge on the offensive glass. In the last 10 games, they're 11th in offensive rebounding rate, compared to 25th for New Orleans defensively. After that, though, I gotta say New Orleans has the edge on this side of the court. Actually, before we get to shot zones, I do have one more positive angle I want to share for Toronto. The fast break. They're 2nd in fast break frequency on the season, 11th in efficiency. So they've also been pretty good at it. That's something Pelicans have struggled with. 21st in frequency, 18th in efficiency. So there is a second positive angle for the Raps. After that, though, when we pull up the shot zones, I really don't like this matchup. Toronto's been attacking the interior a lot. In the last 10 games, they're 5th in frequency at the rim, 12th in frequency in the paint. That's playing into the strength of the Pelicans defense. In the last 10 games, they're 12th in defensive efficiency in the paint, 5th at the basket. So what Toronto does offensively, it plays right into the strength for New Orleans. And this is a Toronto team that just hasn't been able to get their shots to fall at home this year. On the season, they're 12th in efficient field goal percentage on the road, 28th at home. So Yeah, I can't say I have much hope for the Raps offensively, which is frustrating. It makes this game really difficult to bet. We're looking at another game where I really like the matchup for a big road favorite. I'm really not trying to lay 7.5, 8 points on the road here, even though that's the way I would go. I think the best way to handle it would be follow those under trends. Every single thing is pointing towards an under here. Unders are hitting at a high rate since the All-Star break, so I'm going to take the under 229. If I end up on a side here, it will be New Orleans minus 7.5. But maybe even New Orleans first half as well. I'll look there. But as of right now, I will tell you I'll definitely be on the under. Next game, Philadelphia on the road in Brooklyn. Looks like the Nets are catching a point now. I actually see a 1.5 and a 2 open. Depending on your sportsbook, this line's kind of all over the place. Looks like the Nets are slight dogs here at home. Total sitting at 220. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 1-point Nets win. Final score 110-109 Brooklyn. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Philly. Joel Embiid obviously still out for the Sixers. DeAnthony Melton is still out for the Sixers. I don't even think there's a timetable for his return. Robert Covington still out for Philly as well. Cameron Payne's on the report too. He's listed as questionable. On the Brooklyn side, Ben Simmons has been ruled out. Cam Thomas has been ruled out. Day'Ron Sharpe, he's on the report. He's listed as questionable. Before I get into this one, I need to mention that the Nets are on a back-to-back. They obviously just played a game against Memphis last night. On the season, Brooklyn with 0 days rest, just 2-7 straight up and 2-6-1 against the spread, 29th in the NBA. So the Nets have not been good in these spots this season. Betting trends on the Philadelphia side, Sixers are just 4-9 against the spread in their last 13 overall. They are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road though. On the Brooklyn side, just 3-2 against the spread in their last 5 overall after that loss to Brooklyn. 3-1-1 against the spread in their last 5 at home. This particular matchup has been all Philly. Sixers 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 matchups against the Nets. 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 trips to Brooklyn. We got another game here where all the trends are pointing towards an under. On the Philly side, 1-6 to the under in their last 7 overall. 2-4 to the under in their last 6 on the road. On the Brooklyn side, 2-10 to the under in their last 12 games overall. 4-9 to the under in their last 13 at home. And in this particular head-to-head matchup, 1-4 to the under in their last 5 meetings. 1-5 to the under in their last 6 meetings in Brooklyn. So before we get into this one, I think we should take note here. If you look at the overall efficiency numbers in the last 5 games from these two teams, Nets are 7th in overall efficiency, Sixers are 23rd. But if you incorporate strength of schedule into that, Philadelphia is 4th in strength of schedule in the last 5, while Brooklyn's back at 15th. So we do have to take note that Philly's played a much stronger schedule than the Nets recently. And I also want to mention these spreadsheets, these graphics that I use when I'm talking about stats in these matchups, my spreadsheets don't update till 9 a.m. Eastern time. So they won't include the Nets-Grizzlies game. I get that question all the time because people watch the video and my model will say score projection of 110, 109, and then they'll go on the website and look on the members page and look at my model and the score will be slightly different. It's because my spreadsheet's updated at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and when I'm making this video, they haven't updated yet. Now, we're far into the season, so it's not going to change dramatically at this point, but I just wanted to point that out. So the stats I'm using in this video don't have Nets and Grizzlies included in. So anyway, let's get into this one. And if you're looking at numbers for the Nets defense in the last 5 games, again, this is before the Memphis game, you'd think they'd be playing on another planet. In the last 5, they're 4th in efficient field goal percentage, 4th in offensive rebounding rate, 4th in forced turnover rate. But look who they played. The Hawks without Trae Young, the Magic, the Grizzlies, the T-Wolves, who haven't been scoring. The T-Wolves offense hasn't been good. This isn't exactly a gauntlet of tough offenses here. And on the other side, when we're looking at numbers for Philadelphia's offense, look who they've played in the last 5. Dallas, Charlotte, Boston, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. All 5 of those teams are in the top 12 of defensive efficiency in the last 30 days. So Philly's offense is going through the gauntlet, playing all kinds of tough defenses, while the Nets defense is racking up really nice looking numbers against some pretty shitty offenses. And right off the bat, before I even got too deep into this one, I knew it was going to be a favorable matchup for Philadelphia's offense. As we know, the Sixers, especially without Joel Embiid on the floor, they love to run the fast break. They love to push the tempo. That's something Brooklyn's defense has struggled with all season. 23rd in frequency, 17th in efficiency against the fast break on the year. Another thing Philadelphia's offense does a lot of without Joel Embiid, they attack the interior, specifically that short little mid-range shot, the 8 to 12 footer. In the last 10 games, they're 11th in shot frequency in that zone. Now, if you look at Brooklyn's defensive numbers, in the last 10 games, they're 21st in defensive efficiency there. But if you switch it to the last 5, when they've seen those shitty offenses, they're 4th. So again, this is why I pointed that out in the beginning. Some of these numbers I think are a little misleading for Brooklyn. And by the way, you can say the same thing for the above the break 3 numbers. In the last 10 games, the Philadelphia 76ers are 8th in frequency from out there. Since Buddy Hield's been added to the roster, they've been taking more threes. And again, with Brooklyn, if you look at the last 10, 25th in efficiency against that shot. In the last 5, they're 3rd. So at a quick glance, you might be like, oh, the Nets are really locking down defensively, but I think it's more who they've played. On the other side of the ball, we got the Nets offense, and if we use the last 10 games, you got to give the edge to Philly's defense here. Turnover rate, 9th to 15th. Offensive rebounding rate, 9th to 18th. And I like the matchup even more for Philadelphia's defense when we look at some shot zones here. As we know, Brooklyn lives and dies with jump shooting, specifically the above the break 3 and the long mid-range shot. Look at Philly's defensive efficiency in those 2 zones in the last 10 games. 7th and 7th. Philly's been doing a great job pressuring jump shooters. Overall, this is a solid matchup for the Sixers. They always play well against Brooklyn. Nets are on a back-to-back and have played an easy schedule. Sixers are the only way I'd go here. And I already bet it. I actually got this at a pick'em. Philly money line at -110 on DraftKings. I don't know if that's still available. But I take Philly all the way up to 3.5, 4. I think the Sixers win this one. So give me the Sixers. Next game. Atlanta's on the road in New York here. I think this line's down to 2.5 now. Literally about an hour and a half ago, this was at 4. So it looks like some sharp money came in Atlanta, bought this number down. So yeah, it looks like it's Knicks -2.5. Total sitting at 216.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, this one's deadlocked. 112, according to the model. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Hawks. Same 2 pieces missing for the Hawks that have been out for a couple weeks now. Trae Young is out. Okongwu also still out. On the New York side, same 3 pieces missing. OG Anunoby still out. Julius Randle still out. Mitchell Robinson still out. Jalen Brunson is on the report. He's listed as questionable, but Shake Milton most likely will play for the Knicks. He's the new addition to the roster. He's listed as probable. As far as betting this game, I actually skipped this one. Jalen Brunson is listed as questionable. I'm really not sure what to do with it. If Brunson plays, I guess I would take the Knicks, especially if they're going to be a nice short favorite, like 1.5, 2, but I got nothing for now. We'll talk about it on the live show, but didn't really dive into this one. Next game. Pistons are on the road in Miami. We got the Heat laying 11.5 points at home. The total sitting at 229.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see an 11-point Heat win. Final score 115-104 Miami. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Pistons. Nobody on the report with the exception of Quentin Grimes. He's on there. He's listed as doubtful, so most likely no Grimes for the Pistons here. On the Miami side, no Tyler Hero for the Heat in this one. Kevin Love has also been ruled out, and Josh Richardson is still out as well. Before we get into this one, we need to take note that the Miami Heat are on 2 days rest. The Heat are nice and rested coming into this one. On the season, they're 7-2 straight up with 2 days rest, and with 2 or 3 days rest, the Heat are 7-4 against the spread this year. So the Heat have been good when they get some rest. Betting trends on the Detroit side: Pistons are just 3-5 against the number in their last 8 overall, 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. Trends on the Miami side look great. 9-1 against the spread in their last 10, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 at home, 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 as home favorites, which is big because that's always the spot we're scared to bet the Heat at home laying points. They've been covering in that spot. In this particular head-to-head matchup, though, it's been all Pistons. Detroit 11-3-1 against the spread in their last 15 matchups against the Heat. And get this, 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 trips down to Miami. So the Pistons have had no problems going down here to South Beach. Well, as far as covering the number, maybe not winning the game, but they've covered. Trends for the total in this matchup, all unders. Check this out. Detroit, 9 straight unders. 0-9 to the under in their last 9. 0-7 to the under in their last 7 on the road. On the Miami side, 3-11 to the under in their last 14, 3-9 to the under in their last 12 at home. And in this particular matchup, 2-6 to the under in their last 8 meetings, 0-3 to the under in their last 3 meetings in Miami. If we take a look at recent production from these two teams, obviously the Heat have the huge edge. In the last 10 games in overall net efficiency, it's 4th to 24th. Now, we can point at the strength of schedule and say, hey, the Pistons are 7th in strength of schedule in the last 10. They played a really tough schedule, but so have the Heat. Miami's 4th in the last 10. When we take a look at the matchup for Detroit's offense here, I mean, not much to hang your hat on if you're counting on Detroit to score points. Miami pretty much has the edge everywhere on this side of the court. The Heat defense has been elite recently. Pistons have been really relying on getting to the basket. In the last 10 games, they're 3rd in shot frequency at the rim, just 25th in efficiency, so they haven't really been very efficient scoring down there, but they are attacking the rim. I don't think you can count on that being there in this matchup on the road in Miami. The Heat defense protecting the basket, 2nd in frequency, 11th in efficiency. That being said, though, we do need to point out that Detroit's actually covered the number in these matchups against these elite interior defense. It doesn't even make sense, but against defenses in the top 10 of defensive efficiency at the basket, Detroit's 12-7-1 against the spread this season against those teams. So despite on paper that looking like a terrible matchup, Detroit's actually got a nice winning record against the number. But overall, no question, this is a nightmare matchup for the Pistons offense. I mean, top to bottom, terrible matchup for the Pistons offense. On the other side of the ball, we got the Pistons defense against the Heat offense. Again, edge goes to Miami. I mean, look at the free throw rate. 9th to 30th. On paper, the Heat should have plenty of opportunities from the foul line here. Miami on the season against teams in the bottom 8 of defensive free throw rate, 11-3 against the number. So when you let the Heat get to the foul line, when they play defenses like that, they cover the number at a high rate. I will say, though, if you're looking to bet the Pistons, you can look at their defense against the short mid-range shot, which is the Heat bread and butter offensively. They love shooting from there. They're 1st in shot frequency. That's the short mid-range shot, the paint shot, 8 to 12 feet. Detroit defensively, 9th in frequency, 7th in efficiency in the last 10 against that shot. But honestly, that's not enough for me. I mean, this is a really bad matchup on paper for the Pistons. Miami's been good as hell against a strong schedule. They're rested. I mean, I just don't see enough here to take a shot with Detroit. I hate betting the Heat as home favorites, but you know what? They're 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 as home favorites, so they've been profitable in this spot recently. Miami's the only way to go here for me. So I'm thinking Heat minus 11.5. I haven't bet this one yet. I was also looking at Detroit team total under 105.5. We just saw the Pistons go on the road in Orlando, got completely shut down. I think they were held to 90 points or 91 points or something. So I might look at the Pistons team total under 105.5 or Heat minus 11.5. I'll let you know the final decision on the live show next game. Spurs on the road in Houston. Rockets laying 7.5 points at home. Total sitting at 228.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 5-point Rockets win. Final score 116-111 Houston. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Spurs. Wembanyama. Wemby is on the report. He's listed as questionable. Champagne, he's on the report as well. He's listed as questionable. On the Houston side, nobody with the exception of Tari Eason. He is still out. Everyone else should be good to go for the Rockets. Before we get into this one, we need to take note that the Rockets are on 2 days rest on the season. Houston on 2 days rest, 5-4. And they're 2nd in defensive efficiency in those games. So they played great defense when rested this season. Betting trends on the San Antonio side. Spurs have been covering 6-2 against the number in their last 8, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. On the Houston side, Rockets just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10. They are, however, 8-5 against the spread in their last 13 at home. 9-5-1 against the spread as home favorites this year. This particular head-to-head matchup has tilted towards the Rockets recently. Spurs are 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 matchups against the Rockets. 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 trips to Houston. Trends for the total, both these teams have been trending towards an under. San Antonio 3-13-1 to the under in their last 17. 1-5-1 to the under in their last 7 on the road. Houston 2-7-1 to the under in their last 10. This matchup, however, has trended towards the over. In the last 10 meetings between these two teams, 8-2 to the over, 4-1 to the over in the last 5 in Houston. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some overall efficiency numbers. Pretty dead even here. Overall net efficiency, Spurs are 21st in the last 10 games. Rockets are 23rd. Strength of schedule in that span, 8th and 5th. So these two teams on paper in the last 10 games have been pretty dead on balls even. Let's take a look at the matchup for San Antonio offensively. And I mean, you got to give the edge to Houston, but it's not crazy here. In the last 10 games, Houston does have the edge. Efficient field goal percentage 7th to 14th, but not as crazy as a mismatch on this side as far as the basic 4 factors go, as you would expect. A potential big roadblock for the Spurs offense, though, They like to push the tempo and get out in the fast break. On the season, they're 7th in fast break frequency. That's been a strength for Houston. Now, they are slipping down the ranks. They were 2nd about a month and a half ago. They're down to 5th, but still, Rockets defense in transition, 5th in both frequency and efficiency. So the Rockets have done a great job against the fast break all season. How has San Antonio performed in these types of matchups this year? Not good. San Antonio just 4-10 against the spread against top 6 defenses in terms of transition points per game allowed. So against great fast break defenses, Spurs are just 4-10 against the spread. That being said, we do have to point out that the Spurs just played Oklahoma City, one of the best fast break defenses in the NBA. Spurs were 10 point plus underdogs. They beat them outright. So maybe we can take that trend and throw it out, but yeah, Spurs just beat the Thunder straight up. Shot zones for the Spurs offense. I mean, not much to go by here. In the last 10 games, they're 9th in frequency, 10th in efficiency from the short mid-range. But the shot zones for the Spurs have been changing all year, so I really have no idea what their offensive identity is. Rockets against that shot, though, in the last 10, they are 10th in efficiency. On the other side of the ball, we got the Houston offense, and Rockets definitely have the edge on the offensive glass. In the last 10 games, they're 2nd in offensive rebounding rate compared to 14th for the Spurs. But all the extra possessions that they would potentially gain by way of offensive rebounds, they'll give back in turnovers because they're just 26th in turnover rate in the last 10. Spurs defense 14th in forced turnover rate. Rockets also an offense that like to get out in transition. They're 9th in fast break frequency. Spurs defense not quite as great numbers as the Rockets against the fast break, but 19th and 16th. So it's not like the Spurs have been terrible against the fast break. Shot zones for the Rockets offense. There's really 2 main areas of attack for Houston, the rim and the above the break 3. And we'll start with the rim. In the last 10 games, the Rockets are 4th in shot frequency at the basket. So they attack the basket a lot. Spurs defense at the rim, 29th in frequency and 20th in efficiency. So the Spurs have struggled to protect the basket. That being said, on the season, the Rockets against bottom 10 defenses in terms of protecting the basket, just 7-10 against the number. So you would think the Rockets, they attack the rim a lot, so they should excel against these teams that struggle to protect the rim. Just 7-10 against the spread. And the above the break 3-point shot, I mean, Spurs just 28th in defensive efficiency against that shot, 6th in frequency though. So they put a lot of pressure on the perimeter and 4 shooters inside. Really tough to take anything away from that. So I don't know if the Rockets are going to force shots through that defense. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I guess I kind of like the Spurs here. Just on paper, these teams have been pretty even. So one of these teams catching 7.5 against the other one, I guess I kind of want to be on that side, but I don't necessarily love the matchup. To be honest, if you subscribe to this channel, you know that I haven't really had a good feel for this Spurs team all year. I haven't really been betting Spurs games. I pass on a lot of them because I have no idea what the identity of this team is. Also, with Wembanyama and Champagnie both questionable, I'm just not comfortable placing a bet right now. I'll let you know on the live show if I come up with anything, but as of right now, I guess I'll say Spurs plus 7.5 or pass. I also kind of like the over. Spurs or over or pass. Next, Indiana on the road in Dallas. Mavs are laying. Oh, it looks like 4.5 now. All right, nice. I got CLV. Spoilers. I got the Mavs at -4. So it looks like it moved to 4.5 on most books. Total sitting at 246.5 or 247, depending on your sports book. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 2-point Dallas win. Final score 121-119 Mavs. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Indiana. A couple question marks here. Neesmith is still on the report. He's listed as questionable. Ben Shepherd also on the injury report. He's listed as questionable as well. Everyone else should be good for Indiana. On the Dallas side, couple key names here. Luka Doncic listed as questionable for this game. Still dealing with that nose injury, I believe. Derek Jones is on the report. He's listed as questionable. Maxi Kleber also listed as questionable for this one. Betting trends on the Pacers side. Indiana just 5-9 against the spread in their last 14. The Pacers have not been covering. 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 on the road. 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 as road dogs. On the Dallas side, Mavs are 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 overall. Just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 at home, though. They're 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 as home favorites. So although Dallas has been covering the number, this has not been a great spot for them. In this particular head-to-head matchup, the Pacers have gotten the better of Dallas. Indiana 4-2 against the number in their last 6 matchups against the Mavs. 3-1 against the spread in their last 4 trips to Dallas. Trends for the total, I mean, Pacers on the road has been an automatic under almost. Indiana 2-8 to the under in their last 10 overall. 3-15 to the under in their last 18 on the road. On the Dallas side, Mavs are 3-1 to the over in their last 4, but they're 2-8 to the under in their last 10 at home. This particular matchup, 2-4 to the under in their last 6 meetings, but 6-2 to the over in their last 8 meetings in Dallas. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some recent production. So in the last 5 games, Dallas just 27th in overall net efficiency, Pacers at 19th. But if you incorporate strength of schedule, Pacers are 22nd in that span. Dallas is 3rd. So the Mavs have played a much stronger schedule than Indiana recently. We'll start with the matchup for Indiana's offense. And right off the bat, we know we have a nice little matchup for the Pacers here. Indiana, obviously, as we know, loves to run the fast break. On the season, they're 3rd in frequency, 13th in efficiency. So they haven't been the most efficient running it, but they run it a lot. And as we know, if you subscribe to this channel, we talk about it all the time. Dallas has struggled defensively in transition. 16th in frequency, 23rd in efficiency. If we use numbers from the last 5 games, we can find a couple more nice angles for Indiana. 15th to 29th in efficient field goal percentage, 9th to 27th in turnover rate. But let's not forget, if we're using numbers from the last 5 games, we also have to mention that Dallas is 3rd in strength of schedule and Indiana's 22nd. So obviously the numbers are going to be heavily skewed towards the Pacers. But overall, I actually don't really like this matchup for the Pacers offense. As we know, they attack the basket a lot. In the last 10 games, they're 7th in frequency, 14th in efficiency. That's been the strength of Dallas defense. They really turned things around. In the last 10 games, they're 7th and 3rd at the basket. So Dallas has been great down low. And it's also worth noting that this Pacers offense goes from, at home, the best offense in the NBA in terms of efficient field goal percentage. They're 1st. On the road, they dropped to 10th. So this Pacers offense that's super dangerous and explosive, not so much on the road. I mean, we just saw it on full display in their home and home against New Orleans. In the home game against the Pelicans, scored 123 points, shot 49% from the floor, 36.8% from 3. Then they went on the road to New Orleans, just 102 points. Look at the field goal percentage is way down, 3-point percentage is down. So that's kind of been the story with the Pacers. That offense is not nearly as explosive on the road. On the other side of the ball, we got the Mavs offense, and Dallas definitely has the edge on this side. I mean, look at EFG, 4th to 27th in the last 10 games. Indiana does have the rebounding edge, I'll give them that, but other than that, all Mavs on this side. And the Pacers aren't the only team that should have success in transition here. Dallas also runs the fast break. On the season, they're 11th in frequency, 10th in efficiency, so they're actually more efficient running the fast break than the Pacers are. Indiana's defense, 11th in frequency, 21st in efficiency, so the positive angle I just gave to the Pacers offense on the other side, got to give the same angle to Dallas offense. And if we look at shot zones on this side, I mean, as we know, Dallas takes a ton of jump shots, long mid-range shot, above the break 3, corner 3. Dallas is a jump shooting offense. Pacers defensive efficiency numbers against those 3 zones in the last 10 games, 27th, 24th, 27th. So yeah, safe to say on paper, Dallas should score plenty of points in this game. So as long as Luka Doncic plays, I don't see any reason not to take the Mavs to get their revenge against a team that just beat them back at home in Dallas. I actually already bet it. I grabbed Dallas -4. If Luka ends up being ruled out, probably get screwed on the number, but you know what? I said the same thing last night about my Milwaukee -4.5 bet. Giannis got ruled out. They still covered. So I'm pretty comfortable on my Dallas -4. And if Luka ends up playing, I'm going to be holding some value. So give me the Mavs. I'm in at -4 next game. Phoenix on the road in Denver. Nuggets are laying 9 points at home. Total sitting at 223.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 4-point Denver win. Final score 115-111 Nuggets. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Phoenix. Booker's out. Devin Booker's going to miss another game. And I actually heard he's going to miss one more after this as well. Also, Nurkic on the report as well. He's listed as questionable. And that's a big one because he has that rivalry with Jokic. He always plays him tough. Nurkic may not play in this game. On the Denver side, nobody on the injury report for the Nuggets at this time. Betting trends on the Phoenix side, Suns are not covering. Just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 on the road. On the Denver side, the Nuggets have been covering. 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. Just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 at home, though, which is usually the bread and butter for Denver. Haven't really been covering the number at home recently. In this particular head-to-head matchup, it's been all Denver. The Suns are just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 matchups against the Nuggets. 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 trips to Denver. Another matchup where all the trends are pointing heavily towards an under bet here. 7 straight unders for Phoenix. 0-7 to the under in their last 7. 3-8 to the under in their last 11 on the road. On the Denver side, 5-14 to the under in their last 19. 2-7 to the under in their last 9 at home. In this particular head-to-head matchup, 3-5 to the under in their last 8 meetings, 1-3 to the under in their last 4 meetings in Denver. If Booker and Nurkic were playing, I'd be all in on the Suns here, getting their revenge against the team that eliminated from the playoffs. Nurkic and Jokic have that rivalry. I would love Phoenix in this spot if those two guys were playing, but Booker's out, Nurkic is questionable, and I just don't see any reason to try and take a shot with Phoenix. So I don't know. I don't really have a good feel for this game. I guess I'll say Denver a pass. I'll let you know on the live show, but I don't think I'm going to place a bet on this game. As I said earlier, we got back-to-back live shows. 3 p.m. Eastern time is college basketball. We'll go through a bunch of games. I'll bring on some guests. We'll make our final decisions. And then right after that, at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we're going through the NBA. And tomorrow's guest is... Guy Boston Sports. Guy Boston's coming back on the show. He was on a few weeks ago. Finally able to get him back. So he'll be on at 4 p.m. We got 9 games. We'll make our final decisions. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see in the comments to both of them. If you want my top bets for all sports parlays of the day, or you'd like to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information is right on the homepage. Let's have ourselves a great Tuesday night. We got the week started off properly. Let's keep that rolling. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.